What's up, everyone? How are you doing?
What's up, everyone?
Oh, that's my phone picking up the echo. Well, at least it works. So that's good. You're all very welcome. Those of you joining me live, or maybe you're listening back on the podcast or watching the broadcast. This is fundraising news, for want of a better title. We're streaming on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Periscope, and YouTube. So feel free to jump in wherever suits you the most. If you comment anywhere below, if you have any news stories you want to offer your opinion on, if you want to disagree aggressively with anything I say, then feel free to comment. We're going to go through a few news stories today. I'm going to do my intro music in a second. But news stories today, I want to look at the Blackboard Giving Report, which has just come out. There's a few headlines. The IOF getting chartered status. What else have we got? Sport relief, bringing in gaming. And a few other little things to do. So we're going to kick that off in a minute. Please do join me for the next little bit, and feel free to reply with any comments, or there's a link in across social media. If you want to follow that link, you can actually come in and take part. You'll come into a waiting room, and then I'll bring you on live, and you can offer your opinion. So we'll get ready to go in a second, but let's do the news. That's funky. Okay, let's see. God, do you know what the news is all about this week? It's like coronavirus is everywhere, and I know we're not. I don't know. It's not really fundraising related, but is this affecting anyone's travel? Is this affecting anyone's fundraising travel? Is this affecting fundraising conferences? I haven't heard of any fundraising conferences being cancelled, but I imagine it's going to happen sooner or later, because there's all these big conferences being cancelled. But I have to tell you my coronavirus story before I start going through the news. My cousin is she's a bit strange. Yeah, she's fine and she's nice, but she has a lot of sometimes she's just like a real asshole to her family, and she approaches things in strange ways and stuff. Anyway, her and her husband had a baby a while ago, and she is so like paranoid about germs and about anyone even like getting near the baby and the family unit as a whole. And so they've become like hermits. They live down the country, and they live off the land. So they don't have jobs, and they live off the land, and they look after the baby, and they basically just hide from everything. They hide from world news. They hide from anything that's going on. They don't know what's going on. Like, the kid is obviously going to be homeschooled and all that. So anyway, they needed a new car, this family. So they went to buy a new car. And they go to the dealership, and it's like, yeah, we want that car. And the dealer guy, the poor fucking salesman, is like, yeah, that's all good, but there's a bit of a delay because of the coronavirus. And my cousin is like, corona what? And so imagine being this poor car salesman who's just like trying to get through the day, man, just trying to hit your targets. And then you have to explain to this person who's going to go completely off the rails, as she did. You have to explain what's happening with the coronavirus to someone who's like a germaphobe. It's terrifying at the best of times. But if you came in now, as opposed to like the build-up, and oh my God, terrible. Anyway, any conferences being affected by coronavirus in the fundraising sector, in the nonprofit sector? I haven't heard. IFC, Resource Alliance, don't know. So news-wise, this week the Blackboard Charitable Giving Report came out. I shared a link, or I shared a bit of stuff from it on most of my social media, so you'll see it there if you're looking for it, or just Google it. So every year, Blackboard do this annual charitable giving report, which is a great little benchmarking thing. It's based on all the Blackboard customers from around the world, mainly the United States. and they look at trends. So they look at the trends of giving. They look at breakdown by different sectors within the community. I mean, within the nonprofit sector, all of these things. They look at all different areas. The one that always interests me, usually because they make such a big deal out of it, is the percentage of total fundraising that comes through online. Yeah, so how much online versus offline comes into our sector, and it's been sitting around 7 or 8% since they've started doing the report. Like, you know, it's grown like smidgenly between like 6 and 8% kind of thing. And I usually share those statistics, and I usually share the graph which shows, you know, it's such a small fraction. And I usually share it because it's about being realistic about where your donors are and where your income's coming from. The vast majority of our income is coming from offline. Obviously, it's all integrated, so people don't exist online or offline. They exist everywhere, and they spend some time online and they spend some time offline. So it's all integrated and it all feeds into each other. But I always kind of kick up a little bit of a stink for a couple of reasons. One, I think because our sector is so focused on digital, and I know some people would disagree with me, but if you look at fundraising conferences, if you look at what's being written, you can find, you know, it's predominantly stuff about online. It's disproportionately a lot of people talking about online. Even if you try to hire like a digital consultant, there's a lot of digital consultants available. If you try to hire like a legacy expert in fundraising, you know, which represents more income, legacy represents more income than digital. If I tried to find a legacy expert, you know, I can think of 3 in the world, 4 in the world. Obviously there's more, but there's like 4 big names to come to mind. Whereas if you were looking for a digital expert, they're always there. So I just think it's kind of, it highlights how we're disproportionately representing digital sometimes in the stuff we talk about. The other thing that I usually kick up stink about is usually the way the press release comes out about the Blackboard report. It's saying like digital has gone up 10%, and this is the greatest increase in digital we've ever seen. And they usually really sell the digital side of it, even though really, you know, if you wanted to elaborate on the figures, sometimes you'd be kind of like, you know, the press release implies you should spend much more time digitally, whereas the figures, you know, if you actually look at the figures, I feel like they almost say the opposite. I think there's only so much we can take from this report anyway. But I don't know. What do you think of the Blackboard charitable giving report? Has anyone read it? Or does anyone have any thoughts? Or does anyone think, usually people, you know, a couple of people get annoyed that I share this stuff, or that I not criticize digital, but that I kind of say, you know, be careful about spending too much time on that. There's usually a couple of people who get annoyed. People often say like, you know, if we were better at digital, and if we spent more time in digital and we focused on digital, then we'd be better. But I don't know about that. You know, I mean, I think it's true, but I think you could say the same about offline. If we put more money into offline, if we train more people offline, then our telephone calls would be better and we'd raise more, and our direct mail would be better and we'd raise more. So I think all these things, you know, it kind of works both ways. And I think at the end of the day, my feeling is that this is just the way it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is just the way it is, in that we as humans, we only do so much online because we're an offline being. And because, you know, I always think as long as we're raised by human beings, we're always going to crave the human side and the human touch. And so we'll always be focused offline. The majority of our world will always be offline. And really, I don't see that changing anytime soon. It'll change when we're raised digitally. Yeah, when our parents completely interact with us digitally, or predominantly interact with us digitally, or like our nanny or whoever, if you have a nanny, is digital, which I can't even picture what that looks like. But then you'll have that, and then 20 years later, 30 years later, your donors are going to be more online than offline. But until then, I would say your donors are predominantly offline. But that's the Blackboard Giving Report. I love the report. It's worth reading if you haven't read it. If anyone has any thoughts on it, please do comment them, and we can chat through them. You can just reply to, you know, whatever medium you're watching this on. You can just reply and it'll come up for me. Or if you want to dial in, follow that link, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyone from Blackboard watching? I mean, I like Blackboard, but that report, I don't know. Okay, the other big news I was going to talk about, let's go through all these. In the UK, the new £20 note came into circulation. And this is relevant even if you're not in the UK, because it's interesting. This has become like a fundraising thing. Every time a new note or currency comes out, it seems to be happening a lot in the UK. Why does the UK keep changing their currency? Because of like the Queen keeps aging, or is it because of like, it's not because of Brexit? It must be security stuff, surely. So I don't know why it seems more. But anyway, what they usually do is you give your first fiver. So if there's a new round of fivers, the first fiver you get, you see it and it's like, ooh, a new fiver. You donate to charity of choice, and then you brag about it on social media. This is the premise behind it. So the same thing's happening with this new £20 note, which came into circulation on Friday. Features economist Adam Smith. Oh, what did he say? I can't remember. I just remember him from Civilization. And so, you'll start to see some UK charities promoting this, or people saying, I'm going to donate my first £20 note. I just got it. So that'll be interesting to see. And I think more and more countries are picking up on this and doing this because they love it. They love it. And it's just an easy ask, isn't it? It seems like an easy ask. What else was happening in the news? Anyone got their first £20 note yet? Charity loses nearly £1 million after sophisticated cyber fraud. So this was an article in Fundraising magazine. A housing charity has said it's frustrated and angry after being targeted by cyber criminals and losing nearly £1 million. Like, how the hell does that happen? They posted a statement on its website revealing it had been conned out of $932,000. Details have been passed to Action Fraud, and police are investigating. No customer data was put at risk. I don't know how that happens. It was just lifted from their account, was it? It is trying to maintain our transparency and be open about our recent experience. To be blunt, we were conned. God, it's great to hear someone speaking like a human, isn't it? We were conned. A sophisticated cybercrime which had a devastatingly simple result. We have lost money. More importantly, it is the money that our talents work hard to entrust us with, and that is what makes... Okay, so it's probably in like a holding account for when they pay rent. That's really sad. So how did they do it? So learn from our experience. Believe us, it's a painful lesson. It's a lesson painfully learned. Criminals mimicked the domain and email details of known contacts that were providing services to Redkite, to the organization. Through this, they managed to recreate an email thread that misled those who were copied into the email that it was a genuine follow-up to an existing conversation. Staff then failed to follow a two-stage process to verify changes to payments, meaning there was a missed opportunity to shut the door before the money was taken. This is the part that upsets. Okay, so human error on the second part. But what is it? So they've made it seem like the emails are coming from a different domain. They email you and they say, hey, actually our account details are this. If you could just transfer that money. And then the people in the organization, yeah, just update that account, transfer all the rent money. Yeah, that's pretty sad. Got to be careful. Got to be careful. Institute of Fundraising gets approved for chartered status. This is exciting. So the Institute of Fundraising is on its journey to become chartered, like a chartered accountant or a chartered engineer or whatever other chartered things there are. Basically, it's the royal seal of approval from Her Majesty the Queen. I'm delighted to... actually, this is Peter Lewis's voice, so I shouldn't... That's not really the Queen's accent. So Peter Lewis said, I am delighted to announce that at a meeting of the Privy Council held on Wednesday evening at Buckingham Palace, no less, Her Majesty the Queen approved an order granting a royal charter to the Institute of Fundraising. The charter will become legally effective once it gets a royal seal, which is expected to happen within the next few months. This is exciting, yeah, because the Institute of Fundraising will become the Chartered Institute of Fundraising, and it'll be like a little bit more legitimacy to the fundraising career, won't it? Like it'll just, if you say you're a chartered fundraiser, it's just a little bit more impressive than just anyone could call themselves a fundraiser. I'd be into it. I think it would be another reason to get like IOF membership. Obviously, you're gonna have to do a bit more to do this, but let's see what are the benefits of becoming a chartered body. It'll give fundraising the external recognition it deserves. allegedly, as a respected profession that delivers public benefit here and abroad. Besides elevating the status of the profession, among the benefits of chartered status, the IOF also lists increasing the status of its members and adding to the credibility of its training and qualifications. Those three things are kind of the same thing. Members of the IOF will not automatically get individual chartered status. Boom. But the IOF says it's committed to consult with the Privy Council and develop the necessary procedures to grant chartered status to individual fundraisers. The process might take 2 or 3 years. So I'm happy to do that. That'd be cool. Now, look, I just have an important call coming in about my son, so I'm gonna give you this news thing again, just while I jump on this, and also because you want to see it because it's amazing. Okay, that's actually a really good way for me to take a phone call. Thanks for that. Okay, so that's chartered status. What do you think? Are you going to become a chartered fundraiser? I think you should. I mean, what happens beyond? I mean, I don't really know the benefits, but it'll look good. It depends on the cost, doesn't it? The cost versus the benefits you'll get from it. It's like the CFRE in the States and Canada, well, worldwide. Is it worth it? And that's a whole other discussion. But I don't know. I think it would be for me. Chartered status. What else? RSPCA staff vote for strike action. So the RSPCA, the Royal Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, I think, have voted to go on strike over a dispute with management over new contracts. Unite, the trade union recognized by the charity, said staff. Oh God, I never really got trade unions or unions when I first started working. And I remember I was asked if I wanted to join a union, and I kind of didn't really get it. And now I'm very pro-union. I love it. Unite, the trade union recognized by the charity, said staff voted by 73% for strike action and accused the charity's management of bullying attitude. That is not good, is it? The RSPCA denied bullying. It also said that it was disappointed, but that it needed to make savings to protect the charity's future in the long term. Unite said strike dates will be announced, but offered to hold last-ditch talks. The union said that under the proposal, staff allowances, especially for standby payments, will be reduced. It said that an inspector could experience a salary reduction of between £2,000 and £4,000. Why is this? Certain members of the management team have adopted a bullying attitude to staff in a bid to get them to sign a new contract before the deadline of 31st of March. Such behavior is deplorable. I mean, this is a fucking mess, isn't it? But does anyone have any thoughts on this? Is anyone working for the RSPCA that wants to chime in on that? Because that's a minefield. Okay. What else we got? I thought this was interesting. So this week, I tweeted asking people what their fundraising origin story was. Like, how did you get into fundraising? You can find that on Twitter, but it's quite interesting. You know, a lot of people saying that they fell into the job, you know, that they got pulled in to start writing grants, and then it developed into something. Aaron Hearn signed up to a triathlon for NSPCC as a volunteer fundraiser and then fell in love with it, thinking I could do it as a career. Liz, I couldn't get a job in social work, which is what she trained in. She started volunteering at a charity and eventually got hired to do fundraising. George Overton said he fluked his first job as a grant maker. He got charmed by the fundraisers coming to me for money, thought the grass was greener on the other side of the fence, so I switched. I was wrong. Yeah, I mean, God, being a grant maker, is that the best job in the sector? It must be up there, isn't it? Being the one who decides who gets the money and calling up and telling them. I think it'd be, to switch from that to a fundraiser, I think that's tough. I think it's like I can see people trying to move the other way and become the one who gives away the money. And I think you'd be hard pressed to get someone out of that position if they've done fundraising already. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Okay. What did other people say? Sam LaPrade, I was fundraising in the womb, but prospects were low. This kind of freaks me out, actually. My passion started when that first UNICEF box was strung around my neck on a chilly Halloween night in Deep River, Ontario in the late 70s. I was hooked. She's dressed as Olivia Newton-John for Halloween. Tom Mahan, the one and only. First, I was a prick and a sinner, and that didn't feel right as time passed. Charity is where ex-Catholics go for redemption. This too, donating to good causes is how the aging, those of us with financial surplus, have sex. I'm sorry, Simon, did you want something dishonest? I mean, what can you say about that? You gotta love Tom. Got to love Tom. Who else we got? Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a trend of people, they're getting into volunteering, they're doing all that stuff, or they get roped into something. You know, a couple of people are born and bred to do it, you know, people like Jen Love and Rory Green and stuff. But really, I don't know, you know. Laura Kradeka is watching live. She said she started as a volunteer fundraiser with Birmingham Children's Hospital and then became a fundraiser by choice, or did you get roped into this? I don't know. And I can see Kirk Schmidt is correct, or filling in the blanks for me for about Adam Smith, the invisible hand of the economy. Yeah. Do we like Adam Smith? I thought he was frowned upon now. It's hard to remember who is who's been cancelled from history and who we're like still into. That's interesting. Yeah, I like these fundraiser origin stories. If you have your own, look at this, Seth Piper. I remember the exact moment. I was sat in the university library just before graduating and had a eureka moment and knew that I'd found a vocation I could be enthusiastic about. Now it would be a good fit for me. Turns out I was right. That's nice. Tanya Little. At 15, I got invested in palliative care during the height of the AIDS crisis and realized all the death was too hard. Kind person suggested that with all my energy, I should fundraise for the cause. That was the beginning. This is really nice. You know, I think this is really warm and encouraging kind of thing. Lisa Nicole Dunn, volunteering since a kid, but got into fundraising by running voluntary events with friends for friends charities, and sponsoring a child for friends charity gave me a connection. Made redundant from a job I hated due to the recession. Started with UNICEF. I think Lisa Nicole Dunn used to sell cars. It's funny what people, like, I know the story of how people got into it, but what they used to do. Like I worked for banks and I worked for pharmaceutical companies and a whole bunch of other shit. Jeff Brooks says he was tricked into it. I find that very hard to believe, Jeff. Started a backyard fundraiser, started a peer-to-peer fundraiser. I needed a job, went on a gap year to an Indian school, pivoting from PR life. That's funny. That's really sweet. I like it. All right, let me see what comments are going on. Thank you again to those of you joining me. If you have any feedback on any of the stories so far, please feel free to comment. Or if you want to come on chat, then follow the link that I've posted and you can come in. Look, I have someone, Dave. Dave, you want to come on and have a chat? Let's see if we can bring him up. Hey, Dave. You there?
I am here. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you? Where are you coming in from?
I'm just at my office answering emails right now.
In the United States?
In Canada.
In Canada. Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I'm Dave. We met at the end of the conference in Burlington that you spoke at a while back. So,
I remember. It was good, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I wasn't actually at the conference. I just came in to meet you. And
you didn't?
I
thought you poked your head in at the end.
Yeah, I saw the sort of the live podcast you guys were doing at the end there. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
It was all right. Any thoughts from what's going on this week?
I literally just connected, so maybe 5 minutes before, and I was just joining to listen. So
I tricked you. I tricked you into coming on. Will I boot you out?
Up to you.
Yeah. Anything people should check out that you're pushing out this week?
Not really. No, we're going to be at N10. So if you're at N10, see us there. And
you got a stand there?
Yep, we got a booth. Yep.
Do you know what I was asking at the beginning, which you might have something to say on this coronavirus stuff? Yeah, all these conferences getting cancelled. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been something we've been thinking about for sure and talking about internally, right? Because we don't know.
You've had that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, both from like from a staff perspective too, right? Because obviously, the safety of our staff comes first.
Yeah.
And we're mostly remote as an organization, but our development team isn't. They all work in a development office. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's definitely like sort of an ongoing conversation with us, because they're and one of my business partners is based in sort of, but not in China, but sort of in East Asia. So yeah, we've been talking about that a lot and sort of what that means from a perspective, because if it continues to sort of grow, for what we do, there's a security issue for development, doing it, sort of remotely. So we can't, there's only so much we can do, but at the same time, right, like, people is number one for us organizationally, right? Like our employees are number one. So we don't want to put them in danger for business purposes. You know what I mean? So it's definitely an ongoing conversation that we're talking about, like, how do we deal with this and how do we keep the business running and also ensure the safety of our employees if it continues to get worse.
Yeah. Has the conference itself said anything, or are they just trying to kind of keep
nothing from the conference? No. And I mean, we're close enough there that we're just going to drive down.
Okay.
So we won't even be going through an airport. So
okay.
Just easier with booth transport that way. But
yeah. Well, sorry. One more thing to worry about. I hope it goes well for you.
I do too. Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in, and hopefully it's less of a surprise next time.
No worries.
See you, Dave.
Yes.
That was nice. Look, here's Tom Dufresne. He says he started doing fundraising at a university, shaking a bucket and organizing bar crawls, and didn't know any better. Opened up an entire world to me, full of fab people. Aren't they? Aren't they just lovely people who come in and just so nice. Look at Tom with his little tie. I've never seen Tom in a tie. It's cute. All right. What other news stories? Anyone other thoughts? Laura is impressed with the technology. What can I say, Laura? Okay, other news. We got what was the other thing the sport relief thing. I thought this was interesting. So sport relief, for those of you who don't know, and actually I'm probably going to get this wrong because it's a very UK thing and I don't know a whole lot about it. But sport relief is like comic relief. It's, I think, happens every 2 years, is like alternates with comic relief. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they people, usually sports people or celebrities doing sporting things. It's all fundraising around sport. And it does quite well. Obviously not as big as comic relief, but it feeds into that kind of thing. This is my limited understanding. But what they've announced this year is that they're bringing in gaming into their fundraising program. So sport relief is back. And this year it's game on. So whatever your gaming style, you can fundraise to help create a better future for people living incredibly tough lives in the UK and around the world. Just get your mates together and take on a game raising challenge. Do you know what? I might do this. I was actually just looking at this before and I was kind of like, this is, interesting, cool. But actually I might do this. I might get me and Harrison can do like a live stream. So got game. An online fundraising page is the easiest way. So on their thing, they help you, they set up a fundraising page, or you set up your fundraising page through them, which is hosted by Just Giving. So they've partnered with Just Giving on that. You or your mates, you live stream your gaming, or you hold a tournament, or you have a little party, or you watch other people, or they're even promoting giving up games as a way to fundraise. But, it's kind of cool. For those of you who don't have kids who watch YouTube or who aren't like nerds like me, this is a massive industry or a massive area where people stream gaming. And my son loves sitting and watching computer games stream. And people talk over it. Some of them are funny. Some of them are like showing tips and tricks and stuff like that. And I didn't really get it. The other night, a while ago, my son got up out of bed and he said he couldn't sleep, which is very unusual for him. And so we ended up, I was watching TV and I think it was like not appropriate for him. So what I flicked on was streaming of this this broadcast, this guy streaming, or these guys streaming a Super Smash Brothers tournament. So it was like Super Smash Brothers people, you know, fighting each other on the game. And we ended up watching that. And actually I got really into it because they're freaking, you know, they're obviously really good. There's like real energy. They do it now. They do a lot of live stuff at like live venues. So they have big conference events and they, I don't know, it's nuts. But it's becoming a thing. And so, you know, there's that opportunity to piggyback on what they're doing, you know, not trying to force, like Nikki Bell always talks about this. It's like not trying to get people into gaming or try for us to understand gaming. If you don't understand gaming, you know, you're just going to make a fool of yourself, but actually empowering other people who are already into that. And so they yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. But I'd do it. I'd stream a bit. I don't know if it would raise any money, but you get some people who raise a lot of money through it because they have a huge audience. Some of the guys, do you know which one I got into a while ago? I was like mad into it. Speed runs. Yeah, Super Mario speed runs. So the first Super Mario, you can finish it in like 4 minutes or something, or maybe give or take. If you do everything perfectly, and there's all these like mad little tricks you can do and glitches you can use to make yourself get further faster, and there's like little documentaries on YouTube about it. I really recommend you watch it. It's brilliant. The Super Mario Brothers speed run and it shows you all the things that they have to do for it to actually get this world record. And like every couple of years or something like that, they do like they cut it off by like 1 second or 2 seconds. Yeah. Like, so they'll be working their ass off and then suddenly this guy has got like the next second down. It's really interesting. Dave is saying here, they just had a huge speed run charity event on Twitch last week. All the top players timing runs of every game. It's really cool. Yeah. They have like that, what is it? Games done quick or something. And there's a couple other like proper events where they just do all this stuff. It's really interesting if you Google it. And if you played these games as a kid, like I played Super Mario Brothers as a kid, and then you look at the speedrun and you're like, how the fuck does anyone do it that quick? It's nuts. But it's really interesting thing to do. And it's going to be one to watch how they do it. For other charities piggybacking gaming, because you have gamers on your database, you have people who are doing this, and can you tap into this? All right, let's check out the comments. Laura was saying, Laura's following up on the coronavirus stuff. What will it mean for IFC? Because Laura doesn't work at IFC anymore, does it, Laura? Do you, Laura? If you want to come in, click on that link in the description if you want to offer your opinion on this. I'm an IFC ambassador, and I don't know. I don't think it will be cancelled. And I don't think, I mean, they must have had that talk. I haven't heard any of that talk. But I think by then, you know, oh God, I don't know. I don't know enough about this coronavirus stuff. But for me, it feels like overkill to cancel conference with a couple thousand people. But that's pretty naive of me, maybe. All right. There's this other article that I did want to highlight. It's in the Guardian, so you know it's big, but it's, you know, covered in the other papers as well. And it's the Alzheimer's Society who are having bad times. They paid out £750,000 to staff amid bullying claims. It doesn't say allegedly, so do I have to say allegedly? I suppose it's better. Allegedly. The country's largest dementia charity, the Alzheimer's Society, has been accused of spending as much as £750,000 on payouts to staff who agreed to sign non-disclosure agreements, according to a whistleblower complaint linked to the Guardian. Never good when you hear about a whistleblower. The complaint says the use of the NDAs could be seen as an attempt to silence staff at the organization, which insiders claim has been beset by allegations of bullying and a toxic management culture. NDAs are so fucked up, aren't they? And it's the same thing that's happening with Bloomberg in the States. And there's all these like women who have been harassed and, you know, been subject to like really just weird stuff, and then they're forced to sign this NDA because it's the only way they can get out of there and be financially secure. It's crazy. One source who spoke to the Guardian separately claimed the charity's long-serving chief executive officer had an explosive temper. and displayed bullying behavior towards staff. It was announced last year that Hughes would be stepping down in April 2020. At the time, the charity was forced to deny his departure was related to claims of bullying, which surfaced on a social media via an anonymous Twitter account, subsequently deleted. Yeah, so I remember that last year there was this anonymous Twitter account. It was someone, or I think it claimed to be more than one person in the Alzheimer's Society who was tweeting about shit that was going on, and things like that. And that was pretty, it was pretty weird. And it's pretty, some people push back on it a bit because they're saying there's a HR process for these things and they should be going that as opposed to these anonymous whistleblowing styles. And, the anonymity always, makes people a bit uneasy. But at the same time, judging by these payouts and reports like this, it seems like there's some fabric to it. I'd love to talk to the Alzheimer whistleblower if you want to comment. If only their Twitter account was still open, we could tag them. Correction from Laura, she was not talking about IFC. I didn't say IFC, I just meant ones like SXSW. Yes, you did. You said, I wonder what that will mean for international fundraising congresses. Or are you talking about something different? Well, maybe I'm getting wires crossed because there's a lot of comments coming in. I don't know. But that was the Alzheimer's story in The Guardian and in other publications. £750,000. That does not reflect well. It does not look good. You have to keep an eye on the annual reports. And there you go. Right. Last bit of news that I want to talk about. This is a thing that came up on Twitter from Canada. And a guy called Mike Dirksen tweeted it with a little maple leaf next to him. But it's around there. But he was sharing some statistics on percentage of tax filers who donated by year in different provinces. Essentially, what he's showing, what this chart he shared is showing, is the decline of how many people are giving to charity. The people who file their taxes, what percentage of them are doing. And over the last kind of 10 years when this graph spreads, or 20 years when this graph spreads, you can see like a steady decline in every province. And what he's saying is Canada continues to rely on fewer and fewer donors to do more of the giving. And we've heard that from a lot of countries, where it's the rise of the kind of major donors or upper mid-level donors, and that the little donors are kind of donating less, and even the medium donors are starting to drop off, because of this inequality around the world and the widening gap between the rich and poor. I suppose that's a huge chunk of it, that we're just, people aren't seeing change when they donate. People are struggling. And it's a difficult one, but yeah, graphs like this are scary because what it means is that we have a much smaller pool of people who are actually giving away money. And well, is that a bad thing? I mean, people talk about that you're losing the spread of risk, but actually then it allows you to focus on mid to high level donors, a small cluster of them, because this is where the majority of our money is from. You can focus on those people. It's this Pareto principle idea again, where 80% of your income is coming from 20% of your donors. And the Pareto squared thing that Sean Trine is always talking about, that there's just a tiny sliver of people who are generally giving most of the money. And so those are our focus. So maybe it's just changing the dynamics of fundraising. But I mean, God, there's something wrong with the world, isn't there? When it's so disjointed like this, when there's such inequality like this, kind of nuts. Okay. Let's have a last look at the comments before we start thinking about wrapping up. Anyone have anything else they want to say? Any points on any of those stories? Any thoughts on their travel? Any thoughts on their fundraising? Any thoughts on RSPCA or Alzheimer's? Anyone excited about getting their IOF chartered status? Or anyone going to be gaming as they fundraise in the near future? If not, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to wrap up. I have to go pick up my son from school soon. But I like these. I like doing this. This is just a good chance for me to just read the news and come back to you and chat to anyone who wants to chat to, if you want a break from your work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up. We're going to come back. I'm going to come back next week, probably Monday again, around the same time. I'll put it up on social media so you can get it in your diaries. But please do come and join me if you want to chat about it, if you want to come on and chat and offer your opinion, if you want to just comment in the boxes below and we can chat through. Come and disagree with me, come and agree with me, come and share stuff that I might have missed. But otherwise, nice to see you all. Thanks for chatting. And let's just and look at this comment from Frowdy. Youth of today, no brain cells. That's good. Oh, look, we have another guest, surprise guest who's going to join us, who might have something to say. It's only, are you there? Maybe not. No, we had Nikki Bell who was making a cameo appearance.
Is it working? I can't.
Oh yeah, it is. Yes, Nikki Bell, you're live.
Hi. Sorry,
Hi.
I logged on just as you were wrapping up. How did it go?
Yeah, it's good.
How is it going?
It's still going. Yeah. So if you have any strong opinions, now's the time to share them.
I feel like I would be starting it again because I'm gonna ask you like, what have you been chatting about? And you've just said.
Oh, okay. So you haven't been watching or anything. So.
No, I've been working. I'm sorry. That's what I
okay.
mean. I saw your tweet and I was like, oh, he's online, so I'll go and join in. But I'm sorry, I'll catch the next one at the right time. Well done.
Well, thanks. Well, nice to see you or hear you, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'm sure. Bye.
Great input there from Nikki Bell. Well worth cutting across to. I think Frowdy's message is relevant again here. Okay, but that's it. We're going to finish up now. Lovely all to see you, and we'll chat again soon. Let's do the music one more time. Where is the music? I've lost my music. Okay, bye. Oh wait, one other thing. The fundraising everywhere. We're doing the special deal, the 2-for-1 offer. That's still going at the moment. So if you want to get your 2-for-1 tickets, use the coupon code KINDNESS when you're buying a ticket for the Fundraising Everywhere Festival. This is the festival with Dan Pallotta, Scott Harrison, lots of people, CEO of Giving Tuesday, people from Bernardo's, people from all sorts of organizations. It's going to be amazing. Over 5 days in May. You can watch it live online, or you can watch recordings afterwards. Check out fundraisingeverywhere.com. But like I said, myself and Nikki, we're going to pull the offer soon. But at the moment, if you use the coupon code KINDNESS, you get 2-for-1. You get 2-for-1s on your ticket, so you can give that second ticket to someone near you, and you can be like, "Here, I got your present because I'm really generous," and they'll love you and all that. So check it out. That really is the end now. Over to the newsroom.